Hello, Internet friends. This is Danielle Pierce, creator of Real Estate Profit Lab, and I am here with a very special guest today. Her name is Lethia. Wooten is how it's pronounced, if I'm saying it correctly. But
Yes.
before we get started, do me a favor, come in, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. If you are brand new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And we're going to get right into it. So every day this week, we're talking to some of our most active, best performing. We have so many rock star people in the community, and Lethia is one of them. Lethia, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
You're doing well. I
Good.
heard that you
Yes.
are snowed in.
Yes, we got slammed up here. I don't even know how many inches, but yeah, we haven't had snow in New York in quite a while. So
Oh,
we're kind of
okay.
trying to deal with it. Uh,
Glad to hear that. So let's get started. So, what made you get started in property preservation? Like, was it something you had been thinking about? Did it come out of the blue? What's the
um,
backstory?
Quite honestly, I was about to start a dating website. And I had gotten my husband. I mean, I was super excited.
Uh-huh.
I was able to get some money together
Uh-huh.
during COVID. And I said, okay, I'm going to do something that's going to make a difference. So when everybody comes out of this pandemic, out of lockdown, I'll have something that's, going to make me a little different than I did going into it.
Mhm.
So I literally was researching it. I had the website name. I had everything. I was ready to go. And I remember very clearly, I was getting ready to wash dishes one night. And I said, oh, let me just turn on YouTube. And I don't know what I typed, quite honestly. I wish I could tell you, but I saw your face.
Uh-huh.
And it said something about, property preservation. I said, oh, I don't even know what that is. I said, oh, well, let me see what she's talking about. I said, it really doesn't matter, but I'll just listen. And the more I listened, the more I said, whoa, what is this? I said, this might be something I can do. And in the back of my mind, I kept saying, but I'm still going to do the dating website. And by the time I saw the second video, I said, I'm doing this property preservation.
Uh,
I don't know how, quickly I'm gonna be able to get it up and running, but I'm gonna
uh-huh.
jump into it.
So when
And
did you
that's what,
actually get started?
back in June,
June.
the
Okay.
end of June.
June 2020. And
Yes.
then you are in New York.
Yes.
Okay. New York City or one of the
No, I do Nassau County in Suffolk.
Nassau and Suffolk. How far is that from like Manhattan?
I would say maybe 15 miles or so, 15, 20
Yeah.
miles from
That's not
Manhattan.
a lot of distance, but I know in New York that's still probably take an hour to get there.
Yeah, because you're dealing with traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So you got started in June and you are working Nassau and Suffolk County. So tell me, are you working with family and friends? Have you tried it? Are you doing it now? What's that experience been like?
I am doing it solo.
Okay.
My husband is a pretty well-known photographer here in the New York metro area. So
Mhm.
I was working with him largely, but I always wanted to do something to kind of branch out on my own. And so this was an opportunity for me to do that. And I was absolutely petrified jumping away because I'm so used to, having my husband as I'm his partner.
Yeah.
So, suddenly now I'm doing something where it was just me.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even tell him initially what I was doing. I just kind
Uh-huh.
of jumped into it.
Uh-huh.
And it's been interesting. It's been learning on the fly.
Yeah.
Um, had I not taken this course, I'm quite sure every dime that I put out so far would have been wasted because there was so many times, and I don't know if we're up to that part yet,
Go
but
ahead.
there were so many times I've had to go back to the material and reread it and try to interpret it for my current situation.
Yeah.
It's that was absolutely necessary to do. And I'm glad I didn't just say, oh, I'm not gonna, take the course. I'm gonna just look at whatever little videos and run off on my own because I am that type of person,
You are?
but
I wouldn't have guessed that.
really,
Uh-uh.
oh yeah, I'm an extreme risk taker. Extreme. And if I can find a gray area and a way around doing something, I certainly will. But I just had a feeling, I said I didn't want to do this cold like that. I wanted to make sure that I had a good understanding, a basic knowledge of what I was doing. And it's made all the difference.
I'm so glad to hear that. So, what has your experience been like? So, this is the question I know that people are always asking about contractors, and I know it's challenging. But what has been your specific experience with contractors?
Wow. how do I frame it? Well, I've had some good and some bad experiences. I'll start with the bad first. I had someone that I knew of. You know, we didn't exactly know each other, but we knew the same people. So I was a little excited, you know, working with this person. And I said, great, we'll get out here. We'll make it happen. I have somebody that I know. I can just send him all of my business and we, you know, everything would be good. And unfortunately, I think there's something about familiarity. I think at this point, I would rather work with people that I don't know. There was miscommunications. There was an expectation on my part that things would get done, you know, a certain way. And that is the way that the bank needs it done so that I can get paid. And I just feel like corners were cut and the explanations really weren't enough. And it just became a situation of, I had to let the person go. And I was extremely disappointed, you know, and it even turned contentious at one point. And I said, this is not what I expected. So at that point I said, well, I don't have anything to lose. I'm going to go on Craigslist and I'm just going to start interviewing people. And I got so many emails coming in and I'm talking to different people on the phone. And I had to kind of refine my approach so that, you know, it's almost like a weeding out process because I'm my own, you know, front desk person.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've learned kind of little trigger words and little phrases, and even the intonation of somebody's voice would kind of tell me a lot about them and tell me whether or not, you know, is this person a decent person to work with? You know, so I have my possibilities pile.
Yeah.
And then I have my pile of, you know, are they a nut? Is this somebody I need to avoid? You know, one guy started writing me. He sounded like a stalker. He actually scared me a little bit. He kept saying, so I haven't heard from you in like 6 hours. Am I assuming that this is a no?
Oh.
I said, yeah, you could assume that. I said, I think I'd like to move on to some other people. I didn't want to lead him on and have him at my front door or anything. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but it's one that I'm up to. And I think the more that I do it, you know, the more comfortable I am.
Yeah.
The hard thing about contractors though is, you know, not becoming overly familiar. I'm a very friendly person.
Yeah.
And I want to make everybody family.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not there. This is business. I don't want to know how your wife is doing, you know, what happened with your kids at school. I mean, we can have a little small talk, but the job has to get done or you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
So you said a lot of great things there. So, and of course, I just mentioned that contractors, it's really a lot of, it's not really a science, it's more of an art. And and the more confident you are, I think the easier time people have talking to them. I've seen where some students in the past where they just don't know anything. They sound very naive. They're lacking in confidence. And once you talk to contractors like that, like it's game on. Like they're going to, they're gonna go for it as far as trying to get over on you. So I think that you recognizing that early on was a big bonus. And then also the familiarity piece, because what I found, my experience has been when you're familiar and you're friendly, they start telling about all their problems and then they start needing to get paid early or ahead of time, want to get paid. It just becomes a bit much when there's even with just one person doing that. And so you have to, you got to kind of keep that wall up, so to speak. Is that what you had to start doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not easy because, you know, you want to be friendly with people, especially when they're doing a job for you. And there's like an adrenaline that comes once the job is done right.
Yeah.
And you submit it in the bank, you know, not the bank, but the company tells you that everything's good. Suddenly you're excited. And then you kind of like feel like you have this little camaraderie with this person, you know, and this person is the greatest person in the world. But you're only as great as your last job. For me, I've kind of learned, you know, I liked you, but at the same time, I don't want anybody to get overconfident. You know, we still have stuff that we need to get done. And overconfidence also causes them to ask questions that you don't need to answer. You know, one person wanted to know, well, exactly which company are you working for? I said, that's not relevant to what you're doing. He said, well, how much are you making? Again, another question, you know, that really doesn't apply to you. I said, help me understand. I said, why do you feel so comfortable all of a sudden asking me these questions? So I switched the table, you know, and I kind of had to remember that I'm the owner here. I'm the boss. I'm not your friend. I mean, we're friendly. But you know, it's kind of hard to keep that line.
Yeah. Have you owned businesses before?
I have.
Okay. What have you done in the past?
Well, my husband, I've worked with my husband for the last 12 years.
Yep. Photography.
Um, yeah, in photography. And so we've had photographers come and work for us. We've had makeup artists come.
Okay.
I've had to interact with people who own studios, you know, anything related to the photography process I had to deal with.
Okay.
So I got a good understanding of how to deal with people. And then even before that, I used to work for the Walt Disney World Corporation in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So that was an incredible experience in terms of dealing with people and how to interact and how to put on this persona,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my experience.
And are you still working a 9 to 5 now, or what's the situation there?
I have never worked a 9 to 5. At
Okay.
least it's been probably about 15 years since I started with my
Wow.
husband full time.
Wow.
We started our company because I lost my job for,
Okay.
you know, downsizing. And then my husband was working someplace and he was no longer working there because they were, you know, cutting corners and stuff. And so I looked at him and I said, you have such a gift. Why don't I take my marketing and PR and put it behind you and build this photography business? And that's what we've worked to do.
Oh, that's so awesome. So it sounds like you had a lot of the communication, customer service, very definitely organized, right? If I'm guessing correctly, organized,
Uh,
attention to detail.
I'm not as organized as I'd like to be, but you know, I try to be, you know, oftentimes I'm playing catch up. Like right now, to bring it to property preservation, I did something that I totally regret doing.
What's
I've
that?
started taking the job so fast. I didn't open up a QuickBooks account. I didn't do anything. I
Oh.
just kept saying, oh, I got it all in email. It's okay. I'll remember
I did
what
that
I've
exact thing
offered.
though, and I even say that in
Did
the
you?
course. I'm like, yeah, and there's a
Oh my
section in
God.
there where I'm just like, I'm warning you,
Yeah.
it's gonna get to a point. It's gonna be
Yeah.
slow, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, oh, it's not a lot of work coming in, and you're gonna feel like you
Yeah.
can get to everything later, and then later's
Right.
gonna come, and you're never
Yeah.
gonna get to that other stuff. So
That's right. So now I have 3 months worth of going back, trying to make sure, you know, I know how much I'm paid for each thing,
mhm.
you know, and how much I offer. I have to go through text messages and see what I promise people. And I got to tell you something that you already know. These contractors do not forget. If you offer to pay them $50 and then you come back and you like, $30 for, you know, the lock change, they're going to say, no. You know, granted, obviously lock change is not 50, but you know
Right,
what I mean.
right.
So
If it was
yeah, you have to
$48,
keep,
they gonna be like
yes,
dollars.
right, right. They remember everything. And so I have to be on top of my game. Every single time I get something, I'm trying to get into a regimen of, you know, I have an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
I need to know all the details of the job. And then I like to put little notes about the contractor, what he did. Did he do anything extra? Did he do anything that I didn't like? You know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to go. And Excel works. I mean, it's a little bit old school, but I still use Excel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I use Google Sheets now.
Okay.
I've gotten into the 21st century, but
Uh,
it
I
works
need to
really,
think
really
about
well.
that.
Yeah, Google Sheets, and then you can share the document with everybody. I mean, it works out a little bit
It's
better
a
than
little
Excel.
better, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then your results so far, I know said you got started back in June. I know it's probably slow in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people they're not going to make, as much money as they want the first 3 to 6 months, but over
Right.
time, they will eventually, depending upon how much work you want to take on, you can get to wherever you want it to go. So you don't have to give specific numbers, but it ranges or anything you're comfortable sharing with people who are watching.
I'm totally comfortable sharing
Okay.
what's going on because I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
This has been a roller coaster ride that I've signed up for, you know.
Yeah.
I have gotten 39 different work orders so far.
Okay.
I have completed about 15 of them.
Okay.
And that sounds, you know, between, you know, from the 39 to the 15, might be more like 20.
Okay.
But some of them were little things, you know, lock changes and, you know, just
Inspections.
little things. Yeah.
Okay.
I think last month I made over $2,000,
Yeah.
which I was pretty excited. I was like, hey, this thing is real. I was like, if I can do 2, then I can do 4.
You
You know,
can.
that's always looking at it, you know, I
Yeah.
can double it up. But
Yeah.
it, you know, it just we're all waiting for this for the work to come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know. Do you talk to Michelle? I'm talking to her too. She's also in New York, and I know she's been getting a pretty good amount of work. Um, did you guys connect, Michelle Footman?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
I
so
want to. I
okay,
want to meet up more people here. I do
okay,
have two other people that I
okay,
made friends with in the
okay.
program. And by the way, that is super, super important.
Yeah,
I don't know if you mentioned that in the course, but connecting with people,
yeah.
because it's almost like pledging a sorority, I would imagine.
Is
You
it? You
know,
think so?
kinda. Not on your part, not that it's so hard, but being able to have that person to lean on
Yeah.
after you read material and you're sitting there dumbfounded because you haven't done it yet. And you already know how scary the insurance part is.
Yeah.
Everybody's always freaking out over, oh my God, what am I
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
And so having people that you can reach out to and say, hey, what did you do in this
Yeah.
situation? How
Yeah.
did you do it? But
Yeah.
it helps. It
Yeah,
helps.
somebody told me that it's kind of they feel like they speak a different language because so many people don't know what they're talking about, so they like to be
Right.
around people who speak that language.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
is so awesome. So tell
Yeah.
the people. Oh, real quick, if you guys are just tuning in, I'm talking to Miss Lethia Wooten. She works out of the New York market, covering specifically Nassau and Suffolk counties. She is one of our amazing, like really diligent, really rock star students. And we're talking about her property preservation company. So just come in, say, hey, let me know where you're watching from, like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. So the question that people ask most often, well, there's like a handful of questions that come through over and over. But what does your day-to-day look like? Like on any given day, what are you doing?
My day to day is varied because my children are on full remote learning,
Okay. How many children
and
do you have?
I have three daughters.
Three
My husband and
daughters.
three daughters. Yeah,
Three daughters. Okay.
three. And he's also working from home. When he's not in the studio, he's here editing and doing. So we're all kind of in the same space,
Oh,
and it
okay.
can be a bit challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, I I'm up usually by 7 in the morning.
Okay.
Um, One of the first things I'm looking at in terms of business is what do I have on my plate for
Yep.
today? What is it that I have open? Is there anything that I need to follow up with? Any crises going on? I'm always thinking about recruiting. Did I put up another ad on Craigslist? Let me go and check to see how many emails I got, in response. And sometimes it's pretty slow. And then out of the blue, I'll get deluged with, 15, 20 email responses all of a sudden. Um, and then, it's just kind of trying to figure out other ways that I can grow the business.
Hmm.
I'm excited about working. I work with Guardian. I don't know. Am I supposed to say that?
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm excited about
Yeah.
working with them. I know all these different companies have different experiences, but mine with Guardian has been very good here in the
Yeah.
New York area. I think I've kind of learned something though. I've worked with one person there that was horrific. And
Oh,
it's
one of
like,
the coordinators.
one of the coordinators, she
Yeah.
hated her job. I mean, it was very obvious.
Yeah.
And I was wishing that either she'd be fired or she'd leave because she was not good to me. I had $1 million property. This was
Yeah.
one of the first properties I got.
Yeah.
I was super excited.
Yeah.
I took out my Gucci bag to go over there to this little area. I was like, oh, I got to put
Yes.
my mink on, try to fit in. But, I was excited because here it is. They had this huge lawn, and I went into Repair Base and I put all the information in. I was going to be able to charge them like $5,000 for this lawn,
Yeah.
and I had contractors that were ready to do it for between 2,500 and 3,000.
Yep.
I was like, yes, I
Yeah.
am about to do this. And she dropped the ball. Like, she
Oh,
did not respond. It's so important when these reps, they have to call
yeah.
you back.
Yeah.
And I'm the type, I'm not easily ignored.
Yeah.
So if you don't respond to me in email, I'm going to text you. I'm going to reach out to the corporate office and try to
Yeah.
get you. I mean, I will even look to see if you have a Facebook page. I will get to you one way or another. And nothing worked with her. And she
Oh.
finally got back to me when the property itself had a stop work order on it.
Oh.
And, by then it was like, well, I could have cut the grass 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago and walked
Yeah.
away with this money.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking so much, and I don't even know if I
No,
answered
that's fine. You bring up a good point because obviously when you partner with these different companies, they have representatives that are assigned to you depending upon where you're working. And sometimes, people's experiences vary, and sometimes it can be a direct result of the coordinator because if they hate their job or they don't
right,
want to be there, or if they're super rude or overbearing or they talk to you like, they crazy, then obviously
right,
that factors into it.
right.
So we talked about your day-to-day life. I want to ask you about the contractors again, because it's been my experience that people will say that they want to work and
Mm-hmm.
they'll blow you up about getting work. And then when you give them work, they won't do it. Have you had that experience? Or they kind of disappear?
I haven't had the disappear experience personally. I know in
Okay.
the alumni group, I
It's
saw
coming.
someone else talking about it.
Coming.
Um, but I haven't had that.
Okay.
I'm so hands-on. I want you to call me when you get to the property. And I
Yeah.
recognize if I have 20, 30, 40 properties, however many, I'm not going to be able to be this hands-on. So I'm
Yeah.
starting to practice pulling back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want them to get to me. Let me know what time you're gonna get there. Call me when you get there. Let me
Yeah.
know, that you signed in okay. Get started. Before you leave, call me back.
Yeah.
Because I've had the experience where I personally, we were doing a grass cut and I had someone cutting the grass for me and I was doing all the photos. I didn't take the last photo measuring the grass. I
Yeah.
got all the way home and I had to turn around and drive 25 minutes back to the property because I knew it
Yeah.
wasn't going to go through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to be able, to me, this business is still very new, it's
Yeah.
my baby.
Yeah.
And I want them to call me, let me know, did you do everything? Everything that you told me you did is done, correct?
Yeah.
Did you measure the grass? Did you? So I'm a little anal for now,
No, I
but
think anal is good though, right? Are you
it is.
looking at the photos before you, like when they call you or as they're doing the work, are you looking at the photos as they're doing it?
I know, but now that you say that, I probably will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been. I've been kind of looking at it at the end and it's worked out okay.
Oh yeah, I would highly, highly recommend you get into the habit of looking at the photos throughout the day. So that way you don't have to have as much phone time and you can see
Okay.
when they don't have enough photos, when they're taking the wrong photos. Sometimes I've had people
Okay.
take photos in the dark and you can't see anything. It's like, okay, wait a minute, before you leave, go back
Mm,
and do X, Y, and Z. So that's
okay.
really good practice to get into. And then once you do that, you can train other people then to start taking over that for you. Like how old
Mm-hmm.
is your oldest daughter?
She is 15 and I am training her
Yeah,
right
that'd
now.
be
She's
something that she
doing,
could do.
yes, she's doing the Craigslist ads for me.
Yeah,
And I want to train her to do every single aspect of it in terms of organizing and managing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
she
then
has
that'll
no
just free
passion
you
for
up.
it at all. No passion. She's made that real obvious. I said, well, you're too young to understand, why you need to have multiple different streams. So
That
we will talk, you know.
they have no passion for anything other than what
Mm-hmm.
feels good to them. So it's like,
Right, right, right. But she's very straightforward.
she's like her mama.
Hmm. Right, right, right. But I'm trying to train her and help her
Yeah,
to understand everything that you do isn't going to be like a yay, yay, rah, rah.
yeah,
You need to have multiple streams of income. And to me, this is a phenomenal stream.
yeah,
I wish to God I knew about this 20 years ago.
yeah.
I would not be in the financial position I'm in right now,
I
had
said
I
that
known,
too. I said that too.
but all things happen, all things work together for the good. And I believe all things happen for a reason. And I'm here now. And so I'm going to hustle this now with the energy that I have. But I had so much more energy 20 years ago, you know, but it's good. I'm happy anyway.
I just want to say it's literally been like 6, 7 months, and you have made phenomenal progress. You've set up the business, you've gotten the insurance, you've hired contractors, you've ran ads, you're consistently hiring, you've gotten work assigned to you, and you've gotten it done, and you are working to help your children learn a new skill set too. So I think all of that is just amazing. And I know it
Thank
probably
you.
feels like, oh my gosh, it probably, I don't know if it feels longer or shorter to you, but you're so brand new. Like it's amazing to have come this far. Like seriously.
Really.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know. It's a strange feeling. I have to tell you, it is, it's been very good for my self-esteem
Yeah.
because I used to have a real kind of, like, okay, my husband has a business, the business is in his name, and, you know, I'm just the photographer's wife, you know, and everybody kind of knew that I ran things, but I still wasn't the photographer. But now, you know, people ask me, oh, what do you do? I say, oh, I clean out properties for banks. I, you know, I deal with REOs, you know, I have to deal with foreclosed properties. And they all look at me like, wow, well, that's so great. Oh my God, how did you get into that? Oh my God. And it's a real, I'm very proud of what, you know, to tell people where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, you've done that. I don't generally compare students because everyone walks their own path. Just across the board, everybody does, you know, what they're able to do at that time. But I mean, you really like have just jumped out and just kind of were like, I'm going to figure this out and I got this and I'm just going to be, you know, consistent and motivated and all. And it just showed like from the very beginning. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's doing so much. Yeah, I know you probably feel like, and I'm saying this because it sounds like you might be someone who feels like you're behind or not where you should be. You are so far ahead of where you should be right now. Like seriously, I'm not even just saying that. You are so far ahead of where you should be that it is like, oh, kudos to you.
Can I just be transparent for a moment? Because I just always feel like people, you know, I'm in public relations. So people on Facebook have always said, oh my God, you guys have the most wonderful marriage and you have the most wonderful life and blah, blah, blah. And they don't understand. I fine tune my image. I let you see what I want you to see. I say what I want you to read. And I'm not always super forthcoming about the realities of my situation. But my husband had a surgery about almost 2 years ago now. And it was a knee surgery and they broke an extra bone during the surgery. So when his surgery was over, he's a photographer now and he's a very excellent photographer, really good, gets into it. He gets on the floor. He's like all over the place doing what he needs to do. If you have a broken knee, you know, or you're convalescing, you can't do all the things that you were able to do before. So we were in a situation, we were losing everything. I mean, losing our home, we lost our car, you know, finances were extremely tight. Things were super, super tough. And I just kept praying. I was like, God, if you give me something else to do that, you know, will supplement our family, I'm going to run harder and faster than anybody has ever run before. And I literally was praying that prayer for like a year. And I just kept saying, nothing's breaking, but I don't have a choice but to find something else because I got 3 little eyes looking at me. And so I can't fall to pieces. I have to figure out what I'm going to do. And it wasn't, like I said, until I happened up on this program that I said, Eureka, that's it. That's the thing I'm supposed to do. And it's been falling in place. And for me, that's a real sign that I'm doing the right thing. You know, I don't mind opposition. I'll push against, but if every single thing is wrong when you jump into it, then you got to go, okay, maybe this isn't the right thing. You know, what am I doing? But things have been, you know, it's been opposition, but then 2 steps forward. And then opposition, and then 3 steps forward. And, you know, I'm just going to keep pressing. You know, I literally want to get up there with you, Danielle Pierce. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, because I was at a property yesterday and my brother was joking with me. He was like, this is the most work you've done all year. And I was just like, listen, I work at my computer. Don't worry about me being out in the field. It was a paint job. I was like, don't worry about that.
That's right.
Any advice? Advice? I said, any advice for anyone considering preservation or any advice for anyone who's in that predicament?
I would say really, you know, the first thing you want to do is take a real good look at who you are and what your tolerances are. There was a young lady that I was counseling one night, and I certainly don't feel like I'm so far ahead. I know, Danielle, you said that, but I never feel like I'm doing enough. But I also feel like I do have more experience than some other people. So if I can help you, I'll send you my number and tell you to call me. So she called me and she says, oh, I'm just afraid, you know, should I do the lock change? I'm not sure what I'm doing. And then my husband said that the neighbors are going to be looking. And so she was kind of like doubting herself. And then she said the person who came and did the lock change, she felt like something was wrong with it. And they were just like little things to me, stuff that I could have fixed, snap my finger. You know, either if you're not going to do the block change the right way, I'll replace you, have somebody else do it. And you just volunteered your time, you know. But with her, she felt like, oh, well, the guy came, he didn't do it right. Now my husband has to fix it, but I still have to pay him. And I just feel like I should give up. So I can be a little crass. And I said, well, maybe you should give up. Maybe you shouldn't waste any more time, energy, or money doing this, because if this is stressing you out, by the time you get to having 20, 30 properties, which is what we're all expecting, you know, in January, February, what are you going to do when you have real big problems? You're upset over a lock. So anybody that's timid and nervous and can't talk to people and, you know, afraid of what people are going to say and think, you have to have a certain amount of gall. You have to have a certain amount of gumption and fearlessness to do this, especially being a woman. And if you're a Black woman, 100%, you better really step up and be ready to go hard at this, you know, and put everything that you have behind it. The only thing that I can guarantee you is that if you're doing this and you're in this program and you're following these steps, you're going to see that you're going to get the success that I've had so far.
I wish, see, I can't say that. Well, actually, I do talk that way because, and I lose some people with that. People are like, oh, you know, they feel a little bit offended or they feel like it's too blunt or direct. But I do make it clear that, you know, this is the type, these are the people who do well and these are people who don't do well. And these are the characteristics they have. So if you fit the characteristics, you'll be fine. And if you don't, then this is probably not going to work for you. So I do say that. I can't be like, I can't say it the way that you said it.
She, you know, I tried to rub her down a little bit afterwards, but I wanted her to totally get the point, you know. Now, granted, she hasn't called me back since then, so I don't know. Maybe I offended her. I don't know.
Oh
but,
God.
you know, you even if your spouse is helping you, if your spouse didn't take the course, that's all the more reason for you to hook up with people in the course to have these conversations. You know, my husband is a photography person. I would love to talk to him about the course, but honestly, I don't think he totally gets what I'm doing. So he's an emotional support, but in terms of detail, I'll pick up the phone. Hey, Danette. Hey, Tia. You know, and those are my you know, road dogs, as they say. You know, and when I get to a property, I'm sitting there, you know, and it's not that I'm not timid. I am, but I also know how to push that piece aside of me and go do what I need to do. You know, but then I need to add a caveat to that.
What's
there
that?
was a thing that I went to a property recently, and this property I was even more excited about. It's $4 million. So now it's supposed to be more expensive than the last one. I can't wait to get in there and look around because I'm like, this is a $4 million property. This is going to be great. When I get there, I go around the back of the house, following the directions. I'm looking to see, you know, is there any sign of a dog or anything? I didn't see a dog. So I said, okay, good. I'm good. Let me go on in here. When I get inside, I hit the lock. And when I get inside, I hear this beep, beep, beep. So I said, oh, they left an alarm on in the house. Okay. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Danielle, I sprinted to my car so fast. You would have thought a Doberman was chasing me. I was gone. I was ghost. I was in my car in seconds. And I called I called Guardian. I was like, listen, you guys told me this house was empty. So they said, oh, well, do you know who it was? I said, I wasn't sticking around to have no conversation.
They're like, did you get their name and contact number?
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not there for conversation. You know, for me, I've heard horror stories of, you know, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not the one. Now, will I send somebody? Yes, I will send a man, or I'll take a man with me. And that's what I'm actually going to do from now on. If I need to go to a property, you know, that I'm unsure about, I have a security guard that will come and go with me, you know, just to check a place out.
I think that's really good advice. Here, you know, Texas is anybody can carry. So you carry, you can have mace, you can do all of that stuff. But I want to ask you one last thing before we left. You said that you said that you do feel timid or scared sometimes, but you're able to push that aside. And I want to ask you how you're able to do that, because I know that a lot of people are in that situation but not able to get past it. So how are you able to push it away?
Fear energizes me. When I'm afraid of a thing, I run towards it instead of away from it, which is what makes me an extreme risk taker. It's worked to my detriment, I have to say, but then there are times where it literally worked to my advantage. That's how I got the job at Disney World. I wanted to go to Disney World and I did not have the money, and I was a college student, and I just called them up and said, hey, y'all must have a job or something that I can do for the summer. And this was back in like April before I wound up going there in June. And they said, oh yeah, we have something called the college program. I said, really? They said, yeah, we're going to be at your school on Thursday of next month. You know,
Wow.
particularly, I showed up with bells on, you know, have my suit, my case, I was ready, you know, and I was nervous and I was afraid, you know, but I do stuff like that because to
Yeah.
me, if you take the people who take the biggest risks could be the biggest losers, but they're oftentimes the biggest winners.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely gonna lose. I mean, I've lost a whole
Oh,
bunch
you're
of things,
going to
but you're
lose.
gonna
Yeah.
win. You're gonna win
Yeah.
at some point.
You're going to
So
win big, lose big.
thank you so much, Letha. I appreciate you being honest and transparent and sharing your story and letting people know the pros and cons and the ins and outs of preservation as it relates to your experience. And I am so, I don't use the word proud because proud is like, I don't like that word. I'm happy. I'm happy at the success that you've had so far. And I can't wait until we
Thank
have this
you.
recap or conversation in about 6 to 12 months and see, what's happened. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, I'm honored. Thank you for thinking me worthy enough, you know, to highlight like this. I'm excited.
Okay. And what's the name of your company again?
Letha Wooten Property Preservation.
Okay,
I did
Letha
just
Wood.
what you said not to do. You said you don't have to make it long. I was like, I ain't listening to Danielle Pierce. I'm gonna make it my name. I just love to put my name on it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Don't leave yet. I'm in this video, but thank you so much. And then you guys, leave a comment down below. Leave some warm wishes and well wishes for Letha as she moves forward into 2021. All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
guys.